The stars above the Veyron system shimmered coldly, distant and indifferent. Yet below them, a battle raged unlike any humanity had faced. Captain Alara Miles stood on the bridge of the Valor's edge, her cruiser battered and scorched, its shields flickering under constant alien fire. The alien armada stretched endlessly around them, a sea of dark, jagged ships that moved with deadly precision. Humanity's frontier fleet, once proud, now numbered barely half its original strength. "Status report," Alara demanded, her voice steady despite the tremor in her chest. Lieutenant Rin, her communications officer, spoke quickly. "Shields at 40%, Captain. Engines holding, but we've lost 3 support vessels in the last hour. Ammo is low across the fleet. They're tightening the ring." Alara clenched her fists. She had seen fleets fall, colonies burn, and crews break under pressure, yet she refused to give in to despair. Humanity had always fought against impossible odds, from the earliest days of space exploration to the defense of Earth itself, and they would do it again. "Helm, evasive maneuvers," she ordered. "Keep the fleet alive. Buy us time." The bridge erupted in activity. Consoles beeped, lights flashed, and the low hum of the ship's engines mixed with the distant thrum of alien weapons. Outside the viewport, the battlefield was chaos. Explosions lit up the darkness as ships collided and fire streaked through the void. Despite the fear gripping every human aboard, a spark of determination burned in their eyes. Alara moved down the line, checking in on her officers. Commander Jara, her second-in-command, was coordinating with the other fleet leaders. "We can't hold them forever," Jara said quietly, eyes scanning the tactical display. "They have numbers, firepower, everything we don't." "Then we make the most of what we have," Alara replied. "We don't fight to win the day, we fight to survive long enough to change it." The humans were clever, adaptable, and unpredictable. They had always relied on more than just raw power. Strategy, ingenuity, and courage were their greatest weapons. And now, trapped in the Veyron system, every decision mattered. A sudden alarm blared and Rin's voice cut through the tension. "Incoming strike group from the northern vector. They're moving faster than predicted." Alara's eyes narrowed. "Divert fire to the northern flank. I want every battery ready. And launch the interceptors." Outside the ship, sleek human fighters sped into the void, weaving between the alien vessels with practiced skill. Even as they were outnumbered, the humans used the terrain, the dense asteroid fields and abandoned moons, to their advantage. Every strike they made was precise, designed to delay the enemy without risking their own crews unnecessarily. The battle raged on, minutes stretching into hours. Explosions shook the hull of the Valor's edge and alarms screamed warnings. Yet still, the humans pressed on. They were the last line of defense for several outer colonies, and the lives of millions depended on their endurance. In the heat of combat, Alara remembered something her father had once told her when she was a cadet. "Fear is natural. Courage is choice." She chose courage now. Every command, every decision was made with clarity. There was no room for hesitation. Suddenly, the alien flagship, a massive vessel bristling with weaponry, surged ahead, cutting through the fleet like a blade. Its appearance caused a ripple of panic among the human crews. It was their first direct assault in force, and it came with terrifying precision. "Divert all fire to the flagship," Alara ordered. "Focus on disabling engines and communications first." The human guns blazed, energy beams streaking across space. The alien flagship returned fire, but the humans had learned quickly. They didn't fight with brute force alone. They anticipated, adapted, and countered. Even damaged and tired, they struck with deadly efficiency. A direct hit rocked the Valor's edge. Sparks flew from consoles and panels, but the crew didn't falter. Alara grabbed the nearest comm panel and issued orders with unwavering determination. "Engineering, reinforce shields. Tactical, target the flagship's weapons. We don't stop, we don't surrender." Below deck, engineers worked feverishly to keep the ship alive. Sparks flew, alarms blared, and the heat was almost unbearable. Yet even here, humans refused to give up. They patched hull breaches with whatever materials they could find, rerouted power to critical systems, and kept the ship moving through the storm of alien fire. Hours passed like this, an unbroken chain of attacks and counterattacks. Despite their skill, the humans were bleeding. One by one, Allied ships were destroyed or disabled. The survivors formed a tight formation, sticking close to the few remaining cruisers. The situation seemed hopeless. Alara looked out at the battlefield, her heart heavy but her mind clear. They could not hold forever. She feared the moment when all hope would be lost. But then a crackling signal broke through the comm channels. "Captain, this is Deep Space Command. Unknown assistance. Hold fast." The message was fragmented, barely coherent, but it was enough. Enough to spark hope, enough to remind the crew that they were not entirely alone. "Did you hear that?" Rin asked, his voice tinged with disbelief. Alara nodded. "I did, and we'll hold. We will survive even if only a little longer. Prepare for anything. Don't let them see fear." In the distance, the alien fleet began to regroup. They were confident in their overwhelming numbers, certain that humanity was finished. But humans had always found a way to endure. They had survived worse, and their spirit could not be extinguished by ships or weapons alone. Captain Alara moved to the center of the bridge, placing her hand on the console. "Remember who we are. We fight not just for ourselves, but for everyone who believes in humanity. For every colony, every child, every life depending on us, stand fast. We may be outnumbered, outgunned, and outmatched, but we are never outwitted." Her words carried through the fleet, over comm channels and to every surviving vessel. For a moment, the noise of battle seemed to pause as the crews of human ships held their heads high. The courage of one inspired the courage of all. As the night of destruction continued, the humans fought on. Each strike, each maneuver, was a testament to their ingenuity and bravery. Even damaged ships became weapons of strategy. Shields were used to lure enemies into traps, and small fighters darted like lightning between the giant alien vessels. Hours later, the fleet found itself cornered near a desolate moon. The humans had survived, but barely. Most of the fleet was destroyed or crippled. Ammunition was nearly gone. Energy reserves were low. And yet, the crew of the Valor's Edge and the remaining ships remained defiant. Captain Alara took one final look out the viewport. The stars above were silent witnesses to the struggle, and somewhere beyond them, unknown allies might exist. She knew that the fight was far from over. Humanity's survival depended not only on the skill of their hands, but on the unbreakable spirit that had carried them through centuries of adversity. "Prepare for the worst," she said quietly to Jara, "and hope for the best. Humanity doesn't give up." And somewhere deep in the void of space, a faint signal shimmered, an unconfirmed promise of help, of reinforcements. Though faint and uncertain, it was enough to ignite the spark of hope in hearts that had almost surrendered. The humans would fight until the last ship, and maybe, just maybe, the tide would turn. The battered remnants of the human fleet drifted around the desolate moon, its gray surface scarred from centuries of meteor impacts. Fires burned on distant colonies, orbital stations, their lights flickering weakly through the void. Captain Alara Miles stood on the bridge of the Valor's Edge, the hum of the ship's engines blending with the steady alarms that never seemed to stop. She could feel the exhaustion of her crew, yet there was no time to rest. Not now. "Engineering status update," she ordered, her voice calm but firm. "Shields at 32%, replied Lieutenant Care, the chief engineer. His hands flew across the console, rerouting power from non-essential systems. "Engines are holding, but some systems are offline. We'll need at least an hour to get full capacity back." "An hour," Alara muttered under her breath. That was far too long if the alien fleet attacked again. She knew the aliens would not give them more time. Commander Jara approached her side, her face grim. "Captain, morale is dropping. Crews are scared. Some are suggesting surrender." Alara shook her head. "Surrender is not an option. Not for us. Not for humanity. Find those afraid and remind them why we fight. Remind them what's at stake." Jara hesitated but nodded. Humans were fragile, yes, but also capable of incredible courage when hope flickered. And in this moment, Alara needed every ounce of that courage. The bridge went quiet as a distant signal crackled over the comms. It was faint, distorted, but unmistakable. "Unknown fleet approaching. Coordinates, hold position," the words repeated, fading in and out. Even though the message was incomplete, the crew perked up. Perhaps help was closer than they feared. Alara's mind raced. She knew they could not rely solely on reinforcements that might not even exist. They had to act. Prepare the ships for a coordinated defense. Use the moon as cover. Keep civilians safe in orbit if we can. "Sir, the debris field could be dangerous," warned Rin, his hands gripping the console tightly. "Navigating through it under fire is risky." "I know," she replied, her eyes fixed on the field of craters and broken satellites. "But so is dying out here, waiting for hope to find us. Take the risk. We have no other choice." Down in engineering, Kerv and his team worked tirelessly. Sparks flew from panels, and the air smelled faintly of ozone. Using fragments of alien technology salvaged from previous skirmishes, the engineers improvised repairs. Shields were reinforced with jury-rigged circuits, and weapon systems were recalibrated to strike faster. Humans were not strong like the aliens, but they were smart. And intelligence, ingenuity, and courage often outweighed brute force. Above them, the fleet moved cautiously into the debris field surrounding the moon. It was a dangerous dance. The smallest mistake could tear a ship apart. Yet every pilot moved with precision, weaving between twisted metal, avoiding hidden hazards, and keeping alert for the alien scouts that might be lurking. "Captain, scanning shows multiple enemy divisions closing in," Rin reported, tension clear in his voice. "They've noticed us." Alara clenched her fists. "Then we fight smarter, don't give them the advantage. Use the terrain, split them up, slow them down." Commander Jara nodded. "We can stage small attacks from cover, pick them off one at a time." "Yes," Alara agreed. "Every victory counts, no matter how small." The aliens advanced, confident in their overwhelming numbers. They had already crushed much of humanity's frontier fleet and believed the rest would be easy to eliminate. Their arrogance was palpable, visible even on the human tactical scans. The first skirmish was brutal. A small human squadron darted from behind an asteroid, striking a supply vessel before retreating. The alien ship fired in retaliation, missing by meters, but the attack slowed their advance. Each human strike, though small, was precise, exploiting the alien overconfidence. Alara watched the action from the bridge. "Well done," she murmured. "Keep the pressure. Every second we delay them matters." Hours passed in a blur of attacks, counterattacks, and evasive maneuvers. Human fighters, though fewer in number, used speed and strategy to harass the alien fleet. One of the pilots, a young woman named Sira, executed a daring maneuver that disabled a communications ship, cutting the enemy's coordination temporarily. The human crews cheered, a small but important spark of morale in the shadow of despair. Alara smiled briefly, knowing that even small victories mattered. Humanity had always found ways to survive, and each act of bravery reminded them of their strength. Yet even with these successes, the situation was dire. Supplies ran low, engines overheated, shields flickered under constant fire. The humans were exhausted, their bodies and minds pushed to the limit. In the quiet moments, Alara walked among her crew, offering words of encouragement. She reminded them of home, of the families and colonies depending on them. She reminded them that courage was not the absence of fear, but the choice to act in spite of it. Meanwhile, the alien fleet reorganized. They were clever, yes, but predictable in their arrogance. Believing humanity to be broken, they sent in a massive strike force to crush the remaining ships. But the humans anticipated this. Alara had devised a plan. Using the moon's debris and asteroid field, they set traps. Small human vessels would lure the alien ships into narrow passages where maneuverability was limited. Turrets hidden behind debris waited, and explosive charges were positioned to force alien ships into each other. "Captain, the enemy is taking the bait," Rin reported, excitement creeping into his voice. "They're entering the trap zones." Alara nodded, her heart pounding. "Fire on my mark, don't miss." The human ship struck with coordinated precision. Alien vessels collided, shields overloaded, and explosions lit the dark void. The battle, though small in scale compared to the larger war, shifted in favor of the humans, at least temporarily. In the midst of the fight, a young engineer on the Valor's edge, named Lion, discovered a way to integrate alien weapon patterns into their targeting systems. With her help, the fleet's remaining cannons became faster and more accurate, turning desperation into opportunity. "Captain," Kerf said, looking at the tactical display, "we can do this. We can keep them off for a while longer." Alara's eyes softened with pride. Humanity's strength was not in their numbers, but in their spirit, ingenuity, and determination. "Then we fight. Every ship, every crew, every human counts. Let's remind them who we are." Hours turned into a full day of combat. Ships were lost, but the humans held their ground. They moved in coordinated strikes, evading destruction while maximizing the damage they inflicted. Alien arrogance began to crack as unexpected resistance slowed their advance. During a brief lull, Alara stood on the bridge, gazing at the desolate moon below. She thought of Earth, distant but always in her mind, and of the colonies scattered across the frontier. Humanity was small compared to the vast alien fleets, yet their courage and intelligence had kept them alive this long. "Captain," Jara said softly, "the signal from deep space, it's repeating. Coordinates are clearer now. Someone is coming." Alara's heart lifted. "Then we hold. We survive, and we welcome them when they arrive." The aliens, sensing their prey slipping away, began to coordinate a massive final strike. They would not stop until the humans were gone. But the humans had one advantage the aliens could not understand: unpredictability. They had survived because they adapted, because they fought with intelligence and courage that no brute force could anticipate. Alara gave orders to the fleet. "Prepare for the next wave. Stick to the plan. Use the terrain. Watch each other's backs. Humanity does not surrender." As night fell across the Veyron system, the human fleet moved with purpose. Small victories had restored hope. Even the most fearful crew members now stood taller, eyes burning with determination. They had learned that courage was contagious and that ingenuity could turn the tide. And somewhere in the distance beyond the stars, a fleet approached. Its arrival was uncertain, its size unknown. But its signal had reached them, a faint promise of reinforcement. The humans could feel it. A hope that had been nearly extinguished began to burn once more, and the men and women aboard the Valor's edge and the surviving ships prepared themselves for what might come next. The battle was not over, far from it, but humanity had endured. For every ship destroyed, for every crew member lost, there was courage that remained. And when the new fleet arrived, perhaps the tide of war would finally turn in humanity's favor. Captain Alara Miles took a deep breath, her eyes on the stars, and whispered, "We will not fall. Not today, not ever." The night of desperation had passed, leaving shadows of struggle, but in those shadows, the light of human ingenuity and hope shone brighter than ever. The blackness of space was broken by a new light. Far beyond the battered human fleet, massive ships appeared on the edge of the Veyron system. Their hulls gleamed like polished metal, and their engines pulsed with energy so bright it cut through the darkness. Captain Alara Miles felt a rush of relief and awe. These were no ordinary reinforcements. They were humanity's deadliest fleet, ships crafted in secret with advanced technology and weapon systems beyond anything the aliens had ever seen. On the bridge of the Valor's Edge, the crew froze at the sight. Even the most battle-hardened soldiers could not hide their astonishment. Lieutenant Rin whispered, "Is this real?" "It's real," Alara said, a fierce smile spreading across her face. "And it's going to change everything." The alien commanders, confident in their impending victory, had not noticed the fleet emerging from hyperspace. They had underestimated humanity before, but this time they were about to pay the price. Their massive ships moved forward to strike the remaining human forces, unaware that a storm of firepower awaited them. Alara knew that timing was critical. If the new fleet arrived too late, her crew and the frontier survivors would be destroyed. She coordinated with the incoming ships using encrypted signals. "Form up with us. Focus fire on their command vessels. We hit fast, precise, and together," she ordered. The newly arrived fleet responded instantly. Massive cruisers flanked the survivors, smaller vessels darted between the alien ships, and powerful energy beams lit up the void. The humans had the advantage of surprise. The aliens, caught off guard, scrambled to adjust their formation, but it was too late. The battle erupted in full force. The new human ships moved with breathtaking speed and coordination. Their weapons struck with precision, disabling alien cannons, cutting off supply lines, and disorienting enemy formations. Even the largest alien vessels could not respond effectively to this coordinated strike. Captain Alara took the Valor's Edge straight into the heart of the fight. Her ship was battered but still formidable. "All wings, focus on their flagship. Take it down," she commanded. The smaller human fighters weaved around alien vessels, dodging blasts and launching precision strikes. Every move was calculated, every decision deliberate. Humans had the advantage not in size, but in intelligence, ingenuity, and the ability to adapt to unpredictable situations. For the first time in days, the alien fleet experienced confusion. Their commanders shouted orders, but the humans were everywhere at once. Energy beams tore through their formations, disrupting communications and disabling weapons. Ships that had once seemed invincible were now vulnerable to coordinated attacks. On board the alien flagship, panic spread. Admiral Kale, the alien leader, bellowed orders, but his officers hesitated. Humans fought differently from anything they had encountered. They were clever, unpredictable, and unafraid. They used strategy, terrain, and ingenuity to their advantage. Kale realized too late that his arrogance had blinded him. Meanwhile, Alara led a daring maneuver. The Valor's Edge, supported by a squadron of fighters, darted into a narrow asteroid field, using it as cover to strike the alien command ship directly. The alien flagship fired, but its weapons were misaligned, blocked by the very terrain it had not accounted for. "Now!" Alara shouted. Energy beams surged from human cannons, hitting the alien flagship in weak points that had been studied and targeted by the engineers. Explosions erupted across the enemy hull. Systems failed one by one, and the alien ship lost control, drifting helplessly among the stars. The rest of the alien fleet began to retreat, disoriented and leaderless. Smaller human ships chased them down, disabling engines and forcing surrender where possible. Humanity had learned from every battle, every mistake, and every loss. They were not merely fighting for survival. They were asserting that intelligence, courage, and determination could overcome even the deadliest enemy. Captain Alara watched the battlefield from her bridge, eyes scanning the chaos. The humans had won, but the cost had been high. Many ships had been destroyed, countless lives lost. Yet the survivors were alive and the colonies they protected were safe for now. "Status?" she asked, voice steady. Rin's voice was full of relief. "Enemy retreat confirmed. Our losses significant, but we held. We survived." Alara nodded, a mix of pride and sorrow filling her chest. Good work, everyone. Humanity is still standing, and we will keep standing. The new fleet's arrival was more than just reinforcements. It symbolized humanity's resilience, ingenuity, and unbreakable spirit. These ships had been built in secret, designed to fight in ways the aliens could not predict. The combination of old courage and new technology had turned the tide. Commander Jara approached Alara. They underestimated us. They thought we were finished, but look at them now. Humanity's deadliest fleet and the frontier survivors together, we're stronger than ever. Alara smiled faintly. Strength isn't just in ships or weapons, it's in people. In every crew member who refused to give up, in every pilot who risked their life, in every engineer who repaired a ship under fire. That is humanity's true power. Back on the Valor's edge, engineers worked quickly to repair the remaining systems. Fighters were refueled and rearmed. Humans had survived the impossible and were already preparing for the next challenge. Though the battle had been won, the war was far from over. Other alien fleets still threatened distant systems, but now humanity had proof that they could fight and prevail, no matter the odds. Alara took a moment to reach the communication panel. "Open a channel to Earth," she said. Her fingers hovered over the controls and a crackling voice responded after a brief delay. "This is Earth Command. We read you, Captain. We saw your courage. Humanity will fight on." Alara smiled, her heart swelling with pride. "Thank you. We'll hold the frontier and ensure that humanity survives. Every colony, every crew, every life, it all matters." The message was simple, but it carried hope across the vast distances of space. Even in the darkest moments, humanity had endured. Even when hope seemed lost, courage and intelligence had prevailed. As the alien fleet retreated into the darkness, the humans reorganized. Ships formed tight formations, ready to defend the colonies they had saved. Pilots trained new squads, and engineers shared knowledge about the alien technology they had captured. Humanity's frontier was battered but not broken. Alara stood on the bridge of the Valor's edge, looking out at the stars. She thought of every life lost and every life saved. She thought of the young pilots, the engineers, the crews who had stood tall against impossible odds. Humanity had been tested and had emerged stronger. Somewhere beyond the stars, other fleets waited. Other threats would come. But the humans had proven that their ingenuity, courage, and unity could overcome even the deadliest enemies. They were survivors, fighters, and above all, humans. "Captain," Rin said quietly, "they're calling this battle the Miracle of Veyron." Alara's eyes glimmered with determination. "It's more than a miracle, it's humanity, and we will keep fighting, we will never give up." The stars stretched endlessly before them, silent witnesses to the courage of one species. Humanity had endured the darkness and in doing so had become a beacon of hope for all who looked to the stars. The deadliest fleet had emerged, the battle had turned, and humanity's spirit shone brighter than ever. The war was not over, but humanity was ready, always ready. All hope was fading in the battle, until humanity's deadliest fleet emerged.